Welcome to one of the most important legs in the project management triangle, which is schedule. The other two, of course, are scope and then cost. Now, I got in trouble in my career quite a bit because I would take on a little too much and then I would not give myself a little time margin to complete my tasks. So when something came up, maybe a family situation or even just some other work task that was a executive priority, I didn't have the margin and the buffer. So the question I urge you to ask yourself whenever you get a task, not only how much money can you spend, which may or may not be an issue if you're an individual engineer, what is the actual scope of the task? Okay, how do we know it's done? What's the C minus level, what's the B level, and what's the A plus level if you use the US American scholastic system. And then the third one is, when is it due? How much time do we have to do it? Now, there are three aspects to think about schedule. One is I like to tie what I'm working on into the project or the program master schedule. Okay, is there a master schedule deadline that if we miss, we have to tell executives and it's just not something we want to do? That'll help me do the math backwards and calculate how much time I have for my individual piece and where there's some slack. Is there some margin somewhere? Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. Now, once I do that, then I'll go back to my tasking. Okay, what task list items do I have? Go to the task list, and then I'll know enough about my job. I can talk to colleagues and my manager about, okay, do they want these tasks to look a certain way? Maybe flesh out the scope here. Now, when we're thinking about time, and particularly if we can give ourselves a little margin, we can then look at risks and opportunities. Let's focus on opportunities first. Sometimes we'll have an extra week or maybe an extra month at a quarter time level. So a quarter of my time I might be able to spend on pursuing a technological advancement. I'm working a lot on MBSE, Model-Based Systems Engineering. So if the schedule allows, I can pursue an opportunity maybe to save even more time and play with a MBSE tool and see if it applies to my program. Now, at the same time, given a schedule and the tasking that I negotiated, there are residual risks. For instance, there was some time where we had a big review. Okay, well, I had to get certain things done by the review, so there was no schedule slack. And I was able to do it, but it was a little tight. I didn't have much time to pursue opportunities. And I had to make sure I was done on time. So, if the 80-20 rule applies, that's the Pareto principle, where sometimes 20% of our effort, if placed right, will give 80% of the results. So as a brief aside, we always want to be looking for this 80-20 rule principle. Richard Koch has a great book on that. We want to maximize our impact. So it's not about the time we spend at the desk, it's what impact the choices we have, the choices we make have on the program. So we want to use little time to have large impact, 80-20 rule. But sometimes, I'll need to just do the 80% of what I might prefer to do because it's due when it's due. So there might be some risk there, so I can track that as well. Risks can also go with resources and quality. And you might, there's a different session where we talk about the process triangle. That's quality, risks, and resources here. I'll just put it up briefly. Again, it's a different session. But if our main triangle is scope, cost, and schedule, there's an overlay triangle that's a process-based one that's risk, quality, and then resources there. So check out that other module. It'll be on the channel or on the screen. Message me directly if you can't find it. I definitely want to check that one out. But that's how this links. So this risk here goes from that process triangle, and now it goes into the schedule level of basically how we're trying to plan the program out. And schedule is critical because the customer, they give us money, they expect us to know how to do our job and how long it takes. So it's very embarrassing to go to the customer and ask for more time. In my personal experience, sometimes they're a little more flexible with asking for more money. Maybe we need more people, or we need to bring in an expertise that we don't have in-house. A lot of times, I mean, they're not delighted, but they can handle that a lot more than they can handle a schedule slip. Now, each customer is different, so you'll want to check for your homework. Check your own project. See what's the most critical. If it's scheduled, then check out the master schedule. Identify your own task list and how it blends into the master one. And then keep an eye out for risks and opportunities. If cost or scope is most important, then there are other approaches there as well. If you can land on time every time, your career will skyrocket because you'll be known as dependable, and people will be able to plan around you because they know, barring some unforeseen life event, and I've found people pretty forgiving if there's for instance, a death in the family or something, or if you're in an accident, for heaven forbid. But more or less, besides that, you can deliver regularly and consistently. They can plan around you, they can trust that you'll deliver, and then you might find yourself just given more and more responsibility because you're just able to help with everything else going on in the organization, including project management, customer relations, risk management, and a host of other items. If this resonated with you, if you have some opinion, if you have some experience with schedule, message me below, leave a comment, or direct message me, and let's continue the dialogue. I'll see you in the next session.